And good morning, folks. Hope everyone is having a relatively decent weekend. Hope everything is going well. And yes, I have made a boatload of configuration changes. So, trying to get everything lined out. Please let me know if there is any issues with audio, right, or video, and I'll try to make the adjustments accordingly. Right. Welcome to Open Pagan Church on a Sunday morning. Um, Overcast, a little chilly here in north central Texas. Um, like in the 40s, I think. Pretty bad storms blew through yesterday. Right, so everybody says sounds good here. Hopefully, video's good. We've got 2.7 to 2.5K up streaming, so the ISP is kind of hanging in there. Yeah, I've been beating on it pretty hard. Yes, dug out coffee pot, cleaned up, got coffee. Okay, well, we are 32 minutes past the hour, so we're going to go ahead and get into it and get started. So, finding yourself, finding oneself, finding ourself. I struggle with this topic because they're all just a little bit different. Um, Me finding myself is going to be a tad different from you finding yourself or someone finding someone else's self. So, where am I going with this? Well, let's think about it. I cannot find you. You can't find me. We cannot find anyone else. At the end of the day, it's up to you to find your own self. And I've had some people ask me, what do a lot of your topics have to do with paganism? Well, that's simple, really. In mainstream society, if you're not Judeo fundamental Christian, or you're not Anglo Saxon, whatever is approved by your local society's religious philosophy, then you're an outcast. You're discriminated against, you're ignored, you are socialistically abused. Societally abused, socialistically abused. Whichever one sounds better. But you are abused by society. And today, even in 2018, yeah, 2018, we would think that we had moved past the 1800s and early to mid 1900s. We would have hoped we had moved past all of the um, rhetoric of you're different than me, I don't understand you, then you're bad. If you don't do what society tells you to, then you're bad. So, what does that do? This society abuse that um, anybody that is different from society, what does it do to the psyche? What does it do to your personality and yourself, your well being, your self esteem? Well, it takes it and it beats it down. beats it down like a hammer on a nail, um, snaps it just like a toothpick, right? Snaps it right off. So it seriously, majorly causes issues with individuals trying to find themselves, trying to find who they are. Not what you are, you know, mom, dad, parent, worker, minister, construction worker, truck driver, ditch digger, nurse, doctor, whatever. But it makes you lose who you are. Abuses that children go through, some growing up, causes them to question who they are before they even know who they are because they think it's their fault. Even battered wife syndrome, battered husband syndrome. Those who are abused by loved ones or individuals that are close to them cause them to question who they are. Been there, done that. Society's abuse, though, and I don't want to get into comparisons, mumbo jumbo of what's worse, spousal abuse, family abuse, abuse is abuse is abuse, right? But there are different variables. There are different depths of abuse, and I've done many broadcasts on different forms of abuse, how people react to it, what happens to people during these different forms of abuse. Well, today's just a little bit different because I would like to try to give you some ideas on how to find yourself that the abuse, whether it's society abuse, family abuse, or spousal abuse, how to find oneself when you've gotten so wrapped up in the society chaos each day that you lose yourself. I apologize. Um, Allergens have moved in. Welcome to spring in Texas. Right. So what I'd like for you to do is take a moment. And if you're watching the broadcast live, thank you for watching. And if you're watching the pre-recorded broadcast later, either on YouTube, Tumblr, Pinterest, Stumble Upon, whatever you're watching our pre-recorded broadcast on, take a moment. And don't wrap yourself up again. Okay, don't wind yourself up. That's not what this is about. But take a moment and see and think, have you really found yourself? Not what you are or who you are. But are you comfortable with who and are what you are? Whether you're Christian, Jewish, atheist, pagan, Muslim, whatever, Buddhist, whatever. Whether you're a mom, a dad, a brother, a sister, a son, a daughter, and well, we have all been sons or daughters at one point, duh. But self. What is self? Well, my philosophy on self is Self is the whole package. It is from the tip of my balding little head to the tip of my fat little toes and all the bubbles and rolls and pleats in between. Self Self is the package. It's the whole thing. It's the presentation. It's the presenter. It's the core. In my interpretation of self, it's the whole package. And I tell people that what you see, what you hear, what you experience with me is what you get, because I'm not going to put on a show for you. I am going to be me. Whoever that is, whatever that is from day to day, finding oneself is finding the whole package, becoming one with who you are. Now, carrying on where I was going from the question earlier, when some people ask, well, what does that have to do with paganism? It has everything to do with it. Because with the abuses of society and the abuses that human beings deal with on a daily basis, from jobs, from society, some from loved ones, family, spousal, whatever, it causes us to lose touch with the whole package, the bits and pieces of the package that make up the whole package. It's like it's back to that broken toothpick, right? Well, you keep breaking off pieces of that toothpick, eventually you don't have a whole lot. And that's what society's abuse and other abusive forms do to people. Is it keeps breaking off bits and pieces of that toothpick till there's nothing left. Like, someone gets in your face and they just blah, blah, blah. Why did you do this? Why did you do that? Blah, blah, blah. Well, it tends to break apart self. It's a form of abuse. Bullying is a form of abuse. So oneself, the whole package, well, if you start pulling chunks off of it and you start taking bits away from it, you begin to lose track. So take a moment. Take a moment to reflect. Don't wind yourself up. I just noticed I have a hole in my shirt. Whoops. Find yourself. What is self? At what point, and here's what I want you to take a moment and think about. At what point have you realized you lost self? Either lost self, misplaced it, stuck it in a drawer somewhere, put it in a box and put it up on a shelf. At what point did you lose self? I'm going to read some of the posts, and I want you to take a moment and reflect. And if you feel like posting it in the chat, that's fine. If you're the type that doesn't like posting your private life on an open forum, that's fine. If you need help with it and you want to talk about it and it's something you want to chat about later, send me a PM. I'll check it after the broadcast. Robert says it's ironic, your broadcast. This is something I'm going to have to be teaching someone in the future very soon. Well, good. Robert says, God, God knows we all think I'm a little too comfortable with myself talking about him. No comment, Robert. Sally, loaded question. Do you forgive your abuser or forgive yourself for allowing you to get into the abuser situation? Yes. Now, this is my opinion, right? And you know what they say about opinions. Opinions are like buttholes, and most all of them stink. But here's my opinion on your question. Do you forgive your abuser? Yes. Because here's another thing. If you keep carrying, and yes, I have been abused, okay? We're not going to go into that on open forum, but I have been seriously abused. Way back. Yes. You don't forget. And if you're still interactive with the person that used to be the abuser, you don't have to trust, okay? You don't have to forget, right? But if you don't forgive the abuser, then you end up carrying that hatred, that destructive, bubbling, self destructive, self melting hatred that causes more problems than anything else. As we move on through life, that hatred, and you're going to think I'm crazy, but that hatred tends to boil up and it tends to bubble out in other aspects of our lives. It bubbles out in relationships, it bubbles out in trust with self, it bubbles out in the types of relationships that maybe we think we're only good enough for. And herein lies the other thing. That moves to her very loaded question. Do you forgive yourself for allowing yourself to get in the situation to begin with? I want to answer that question with a question. And you know me in parables, anybody that's known me for any length of time whatsoever, they know that I teach and I counsel in parables. We're going to go back to the trusty toothpick, shall we? Now, for those of you that are half blind like I am and can't see the screen and cannot tell what that is, that's a toothpick. It's what they call a flat edge toothpick. It's not round. Do I know whether or not that toothpick is going to break and jab me in the gum and make my gums bleed before I use it? Think about it. Do I know an abuser if no signs are shown, okay? And there are some slick ass abusers out there, let me tell you. Boy, they'll swoo you and woo you and accommodate all and make you, build you up and pump you up. And then you walk in, you move in with them, you get into a relationship, and very quickly things start to go south. But could you have known? No. No. Unless the individual and so many do not. But unless the individual actually truly shows signs of abusive behavior during the dating process, and I say again, most do not, okay? There's no way you're going to know. So, to cap Sally's question, you have to forgive yourself for something you didn't know. And so much of the time, people that fall into abusive situations are already programmed by prior abuse that that's the only thing they're good for. So they're not going to think to look for the signs. Yes, there's nothing to forgive yourself for. And we can go into the whole situation of the sociological philosophies of why an individual stays in abusive situations. That's not what this is about. This particular broadcast is to help one find yourself after it's lost. So let's take a moment and read some more posts. Debbie, I lost myself the moment I agreed to become a full-time carer for her parents. I know Debbie really well. I knew her parents really, really well. Um, yes, it's hard work. You don't. She says now they're gone. I'm not quite sure who I am anymore because when you're a, when you're a caretaker and you're a caretaker of an aging individual or even someone who's really, really young, and that's really hard. When you're a caretaker or a parent of a disabled or special needs child, adult, or parent, sometimes you don't have time to remember self. Now remember, self is the whole package. It's not it's not just a piece that fits on the end of a toothpick. It's the whole package, the whole thing. I've got audio. See, Robert says, is it just me or is audio low today? I've got it about 50%. Okay, I just turned audio up a little bit. So if I blow you out, sorry, I'm trying to boost it up just a bit for those who may not have a device that puts out good enough sound. So, Robert, Don, meet Christina. Christina, hi. Who's Christina? Anyway, hi, Christina. Um, she's shaman as well. Okay. Debbie says, I forgive myself. I'll never forgive. Oh, got it. Yeah. And see, there you go. You have to forgive yourself because there's nothing for you to forgive, really. Jennifer says, I try, but I don't think I could. And I get that. It took me, like I say, it, and I don't want to go into it on open forum, but it took me till I was in my 30s to figure out how to forgive the individual that abused me. And I finally came around to the realization. That at the time, there was nothing I could do to stop it. In the 60s, we didn't have the tools and the knowledge. In the 60s, we didn't have the communication. In the 60s, we didn't have the training and the teaching that kids have today. And yet, even with all of the training, the TV shows, the social networks with abusive hotlines, on and on and on and on, kids of today are still afraid to get help. I get it. But we carry on a daily basis, right? On a daily basis, we carry anger, we carry vape. No. On a daily basis, we carry anger, hatred, fear, anxieties, stress, responsibility. Everything that, morning Dave, everything that we deal with, just trying to make a living, take care of family, take care of ourselves, take care of responsibilities. So we've spent the first part of the broadcast talking about what and why. Talking about what the whole topic is. So let's talk about how some of you that are watching this morning, again, those of you that are watching live, and those of you that are watching the pre-recorded broadcast later, put into the chat, if you can, some of the things that you're doing to find yourself. And I ask you to do that because I can sit here all day long and tell you how I found me and how I work on me on a daily basis to keep a hold of self, right? But the way I do it may not work for you. But if others share their process, if others share the process that they use to help find their self, and you're reading through the different processes that these other people have used to find their self, maybe you'll stumble on to something that'll help you. We can hope. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a pause for the calls. Just a couple of minutes. Let my voice rest a minute. And I want you to seriously think about some of the things that you're doing, some of the things that you've done to help find yourself. Are you still finding yourself? Great. What are some of the things that you're doing to help others? So let's take a few minutes, listen to some music, take a pause for the calls, let my voice rest a bit, and I'll see you right back here in just a few minutes. Thank you for watching Open Pagan Church. We're still here, just taking a little break. Be right back. absolutely right. Um, I've been reading some of the things that people are putting in the screen now. If you're away, right, go into the little boy or little girl's room, whichever you use, getting you some coffee or drink or whatever. Go ahead. You don't have to come rushing back to the screen because you're going to miss something. But I was reading through some of the posts, and you're absolutely right. Robert um, found himself after attempting to commit suicide. That's when he found Hecate. Yeah, dude, you're absolutely right. That's a bad idea. Not something, not something I ever recommend people do. Yeah, that could turn out to be a bad thing quickly. Um, Sally, yep. Stand in front of a mirror each day and talk positive things about yourself. Um, I did that. That's what I teach my students and my clients to do. Stand in front of a mirror, and I'll tell you. And this is kind of where we're going, right? I'm going to give you shortly. Give everybody a chance to get back to their seats and get tuned in or whatever. Yes, Debbie spends as much time as she can outside, driving around. Um, Things that she couldn't do when she was a carer. And Dave makes a good point. I wanna read his post. We need to understand things are moving around us. Okay, and and I'm gonna stop with that one sentence because we need to understand that things are moving around us. Every one of us on this planet are susceptible to someone else's actions. Every one of us on this planet are susceptible to someone else's reactions to those actions, which causes reactions to those actions, which is kind of giving credence to the chaos theory, if you will. Cause and effect. Effect caused by momentum. Momentum caused by things that you may have done 20 years ago or things that someone else may have done, like a neighbor. A neighbor did something stupid and you end up getting caught up in their momentum. So there are things that are going on around us at all times. He goes on to saying, how we look at things, how we interpret things. And we become immersed in things. Now, let's take a minute to think about that. Um, my job didn't used to be stressful. My job over the last year has become highly stressful um, and highly blame forwarding, if you will. Nobody, most people don't want to say nobody, but most people don't want to say, "Oh, I broke the toothpick. I'm sorry." Um, the person that broke the toothpick wants to say, "Well, somebody else in another department should have made the toothpick so it wasn't so easy to break." Things like that. Not owning it, right? So we get caught up. We get immersed in momentum. We get immersed in cause and effect. Um, Dave is a shaman. I am too. That's our chosen path in the pagan philosophy. We tend to see things a little different than some. We're not going to go into all of that. That's not what we're here for. But we take things differently and we hypothesize things a little differently than most. And that's when Sally come back and said, I stand in a mirror over the last week and tell myself I'm a good person, right? And we're going to go there in a second. Debbie says, for the most part, her guides are leaving her alone for the moment. Guides, spirit guides will do that. They will beat you profusely about the head and shoulders about some things, and all of a sudden it goes from blah 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 blah, blah to nothing. And then you're like, wait, what? Wait, Too quiet. Too quiet. No. So how do we unbreak the broken? How do we stick the pieces back together? Well, I have a bit of a rude awakening for you. To lose something completely is to possibly have it destroyed and not be able to get it back. Okay? Once a toothpick is destroyed and it's rotted and gone back to the mother, I'm not going to get that toothpick back. So what do I have to do to repair that broken part of me that may not be repairable? 3 words. Much easier said than done. I get it. And some of you are going to ask me if I've lost my effing mind. I might have. But 3 words. Any idea? Except it's part of it. That's coming up in a minute. But it's 3 words. Any idea what that might be? Ready? Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. You have to let things go. Because if you compile them and you internalize them and you hang on to them and you keep nitpicking at the little tiny things, then before... Oh, my daughter's watching. Cool. You have to let it go, right? Now, I'm going to say some trigger words because I want to cover some of the issues of how to help with some of these trigger words. So those of you that are watching, let's bring the adult forward, if you will. Rape, molestation, physical abuse, emotional and psychological abuse, the worst forms of sexual abuse, job abuse by a boss, whatever, other people, society abuse. You can't fix it. You cannot fix someone else. You can't fix stupid. You're not going to stop these people from doing the things that they do. You're just not. Murder is illegal. Um, Spousal murder is hard to prove as self defense. Like Debbie said, it's a healing process. Got to take steps to go through it. Step one, in my opinion, let it go. Accept the things that have happened to you, the things you can't change, you can't undo, you can't go back and do anything about. You've got to accept them that they happened. And you get up and you stand up, you brush off your pants, doctor any cuts or bruises, make whatever reports need to be made. And what I say, make whatever reports that need to be made. If you've been raped, report it immediately. Immediately. Don't wait 24 hours, don't wait a day, don't wait 3 days, don't wait a week, don't wait 20 years. If you've been raped, report it immediately. If you've been beaten or spousal abuse, report it immediately. Don't hold it. Don't don't make it your fault. Believe it or not, by reporting it, by reporting it, that's a part of getting past it. That's a part of letting it go. It's a part of the healing process, right? Irregardless of whether or not you're taken seriously when you do report it, that's a topic for a whole nother show. That's a topic for a whole nother conversation, is being taken seriously. I may try to do that topic next Sunday while I'm in Scotland. See how many of you catch that one. So, what are some of the things that we can do to get past it? And that's the reason I wanted many of you to post in the area, post in the chat, and on other social networks that this video is posted on. Feel free to message me from those areas or post in YouTube your thoughts and comments. Well, by the way, if you're watching in YouTube, be sure and hit the like button. Subscribe. If you're watching in Facebook, hit the like button on Open Pagan Church because that subscribes you. Let go of the toothpicks. Yeah. That toothpick that was broken up, I'm not going to get it back. Okay? And even if I could get it back, it would be useless to me. So, the young people, right? And I want to address not just my daughter, but to other young people that will watch these videos later down the road. You're going to spend your entire life having good and bad and neutral. You're going to give of yourself to the world, to jobs, parents, to family, to siblings, to loved ones, to spouses, to good friends. And some of those good friends are going to give back. So, they're giving back. You can take a little bit and maybe replace some of the pieces that you gave away. But if you worry, and listen to this very close, If you worry about how much you're getting back as opposed to how much you're giving, then you're giving for the wrong reasons. Pause. Think about that. If you're worried about how much you're getting back versus how much you're giving for the wrong reasons. When you give free of heart. Okay? Now, this swirls right back to staying in abusive situations. Part of healing, part of finding oneself. Nope, I didn't lose track of the topic. Every bit of this has to do with finding oneself. Right? When you're looking to rebuild yourself, like Sally said, spend some time in front of a mirror. Granted, folks, the shape I'm in right now, I don't necessarily like spending a whole lot of time looking in the mirror going, damn, I'm a good looking dude. I am not that vain. Sometimes I look at myself, I'm like, dude, you're about 150 pounds overweight. You are way out of shape. If I run from the front door to the mailbox, which is about 25 yards, somebody's ass better be sitting there with an oxygen bottle, because when I get to the mailbox, it's all over with. From the words of a 12-year-old, she says, this is Kaya. It's only worth it when they're giving back, in my opinion. I disagree. Because if I am giving of myself, and this is for those of you out there, if I'm giving of myself and I'm having no expectations of getting anything back, I'm okay with self. I don't expect things from other people. I would like it if relationships were given, give and take. But if I expect things from other people, I set myself up for hurt. You set yourself up for hurt. Everybody sets themselves up for hurt when they expect people to give back. It may not be within their capable range. That's just my opinion. So, finding oneself is all a part of the healing of the entire package. It's not just accepting that I lost that toothpick. It's not just accepting I lost that automobile, which I have done quite a few times. But it's acknowledging the fact and letting go that it's not there. I need to set arrangements and make other plans accordingly. And I can come up with cliches out the wazoo of roll with the flow, deal, accept the chaos that the cosmos gives you. Well, I'm not into cliches this morning. I'm into what can you do to find yourself, and we've been talking about that from Go. Those guys in the chat, myself sitting here, have given ideas throughout the broadcast. But in a nutshell, you're not going to get back the things that are gone. If you loan someone a phone charger, if you loan someone a shirt, maybe you get it back, maybe you won't. That's no big ripping deal. Maybe that's not important. But pieces of your heart, things that you've given of yourself, we give our all in a job, in a relationship, in family, in friendship. I hope you would give your all in everything you do. But if they take a finger, if they take a toe, they take a leg, they take an arm, you're not going to get it back. So at the end of the day, irregardless of how you lost it, at the end of the day, irregardless of how you lost it, the fact is the fact. It's gone. Now, we may go over just a little bit this morning, okay? So if those of you have something that you absolutely have to do at 10:30, we may go over just a bit. But I'm going to spend the last few minutes wrapping up on some cold hard facts. Now, you guys that know me know I cut no mustard, I pull no shit, and I tell it the way it is. Okay? I tend to try to be a little softer on Open Pagan Church because we are a family-oriented program. But this one's for the kids, the parents, the single folk, the non-parents, the human beings. Ladies and gentlemen, we are human beings before we are anything else. There is a damn thing you can do to change that. You are a human being by definition before you are anything else. Here are some cold hard facts to maybe help you get past where you're at. One, let it go. Two, accept that it's happened. Because if it's happened, it ain't going to unhappen, and you're not going to undo it. 3, remind yourself, either in a mirror or just by telling yourself when you get up in the morning, I'm a good person. Now, in retrospect, folks, come on. If you're an asshole, if you're the abuser, or if you're someone who abuses other people or takes advantage of them, or it's all about me, I, and it's only about me, maybe in watching this broadcast, you're the type of person that needs to learn from it. What you're doing is wrong. Stop it. But if you're one of the ones that was on the receiving end of the assholism, I like that word, assholism. If you're on the receiving end of those actions, forgive it in your own time. I'm not going to sit here and tell you you have to forgive it now. I'm not going to sit here and tell you you should have forgiven it at the time it happened. Not. But I'm going to tell you eventually, you're going to need to forgive it. You're going to need to accept that it happened. I don't recommend that you stuff it in a memory hole back in the cobwebs of your brain. I suggest that you say, it happened. Four, let it be. Just let it be. If any of you have ever watched my broadcast on the five human elements and the three human personalities, each of the five human elements are coverable in this topic, finding oneself. The only way you're ever going to truly find yourself is to realize a few things. Only you can change you. Only you can change your actions towards yourself and others. No one else can change that for you. Only you can change the way you take care of yourself. It is not my wife's responsibility. It is not my parents' responsibility. It is not my best friend's responsibility to take care of me. It is my responsibility. They help because they love me and I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Wife said coffee's ready. Oh, because I've about sucked the bottom out of this thing. By the way, you ready for this? Don proof. So, yep, I'm going to give them a plug. Google them. They're really cool. Yeah, I'm shaking. Forgive yourself. If you're one of the ones that stayed in an abusive relationship for whatever your reason, you didn't feel you were good enough to get out of it, you believed that you deserved it, you felt like you were the only one that was worth anything on it, whatever. If you're still in the relationship, get the hell out and stay out. If they told you, oh, I love you, I'll change, I promise, I'm better, bullshit. Get out, stay out. If you're in a work situation where it's almost bare edge or is hostile workplace. Job hunt like a big dog. Most of us, myself included, I can't afford to get pissed off and walk in and go, I quit. You have to accept the things that happen to you. And that's a part of building oneself. Accept it, try to forgive it in your own time, move on with it. And I'm going to close with this, and these are some ideas that I did when I was younger. Of course, back when I was younger, we didn't have sticky notes, but we damn sure had tape, and we sure had paper. So I tore off little squares of paper. On one of those squares of paper, I wrote down the Serenity Prayer. I'm pagan, but I love the Serenity Prayer. And folks, if you don't know what the Serenity Prayer is, Google it. I'm not going to waste the time reading it off to you. Write it down. Tape it on a mirror, not right in front of your face. Put it in a mirror. And then in an archway over the top of your head so it looks kind of like a halo. I'm a good person. I will like myself a little more today than I did yesterday. Get a grip on this. I will have bad days, and that's okay. I will get along better with myself and others who do not think or feel the way I do. And then on the other side of the archway, write the Serenity Prayer again. So what we've built is pillars. We built pillars. On the left, got tangled up my wire. On the left, the Serenity Prayer. On the archway, the things I said a while ago. If you missed it, rewind. And on the right, the Serenity Prayer again. And when you're standing there doing your prepping and whatever it is you do in the morning, or when you're standing there in the morning looking at whatever it is you're looking at, instead of telling yourself, God, you're fat, God, you're ugly, God, you're out of shape, your gray hairs are showing, blah, blah, blah. Start at the left and read to the right. Start at the left and read to the right. Start your day out with a smile. Start your day out with a smile. We're going to end this broadcast with a smile. Thank you very much for sticking with us as always. Thank you for watching Open Pagan Church. Have a great day, and we hope to see you right here next week with another mind-numbing topic. Have a great day.